Hey, I'm Andrew Joseph Keith. I'm an artist and sculptor, and this is a barn that's on the property that we have, and I'd like to turn it into a future studio for workshops for people to come and sculpt with me, and then also just have a nice big studio place to work. So I just wanted to walk you guys through some of the renovations that I'm doing. So let's go ahead, let's walk around. So one of the issues that I had with the building is that all of these roof panels leak. So everywhere where there's nails along these metal roof panels, those over time, the nails had a sealant underneath, but that sealant has worn out and degraded, and now pretty much the whole roof was leaking. And so what I did was I did some research because we had basically no money to work on this project. And so I'm just thinking, like, what can I do for as little as possible? How do you fix a roof? Roofs can be very expensive, an expensive problem to address. So then my wife showed me a video of a Hispanic guy talking about how to patch a roof for cheap. And what he did was he took some styrofoam, just regular styrofoam, and mixed it with gasoline, put it in the gasoline, and it becomes kind of this almost like a putty or something similar to slime. It's very flammable, so you have to be very careful with this. But what you can do is take this and then beat it out just over those nail holes, and it turns into basically just a plastic. And everybody knows that, or you've heard that styrofoam doesn't biodegrade very well, which is why it's bad for the environment. But not biodegrading well means just that it lasts, that it doesn't wear out over time. So I did that, I experimented with it, and it seemed to work. And so it even seemed to work a little bit better than some sealant, like roof spray sealant that the previous owners had left. And I tried that, but that seemed to actually leak more than this cheap fix just with some gasoline and styrofoam. And so that's just one of the fixes, $5 of gasoline and some free styrofoam that I've been collecting. I've been able to patch a lot of this roof. Now it does create a problem because I only have one ladder that gets me up most of the way. So I've been able to go up 6 panels, but then there's another, I think, 4 on top, and then the roof that I haven't been able to reach. So I need to figure out a way to get up there and work. I'm thinking that maybe I'll do a harness or something and have the rope go over on the other side and pull myself up. We'll see how I get to that, but still need to finish patching that roof. So it's a pretty good space, and then it's got 2 floors. Right now I'm working on putting some flooring up on the 2nd floor. And for that, what I did was there was some paneling that was here along the walls, and I decided that I wanted to make sure that the bones of the structure were good. And it's a good thing that I did, because I opened some up, and some of these beams that support the entire building, these ones right here, they're kind of these ribs that go up and meet at the top, and some of them have been eaten away by mice or something else to get through them. Some of them were just chewed all the way through, and so I was able to see that and then add some supports on either side. So here you can see that this was just entirely rotted out from water damage and then bugs. And I imagine also some critters got in here and just ate out this entire beam. So this beam wasn't holding up the structure. This is basically the support for the entire structure. And there were several beams that were like this. And so I took some 2x6s and went up until where the wood was good, and nailed those in really solid. And before, this would just wobble. It was just like not attached to anything. And then afterwards, now it is really solid, not budging at all. But before, I could just take this whole beam on this side of the barn and just wobble it. And so that was really disconcerting. It's a good thing that I opened up the walls to address those. There was several on this side and then one on the other side. And then once I did that, the building felt a lot more secure. Sometimes it's nerve-wracking opening something up, but it's good to know the reality of the situation. And with some scrap wood, a lot of what I've been doing is just with the scrap wood that was left over, that was inside of this barn. They just kind of used it. And so as much as I can, I've been trying to use what we have. We were really fortunate because the property that we purchased for under $100,000, we were able to purchase an old farmhouse. It's on a little bit over an acre of land, so we're able to get some land with it. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 little a couple garages and some barns on the property because this used to be a farm. And a lot of the buildings, like this one, is actually in pretty good shape. Needs some work, you know, the roof leaks and some of the boards up here, some of the ceiling or the second floor had rotted out. So that's why I'm redoing some of that right now. And it's cool to be able to work on something, to be able to have a structure where you can kind of play around with it a little bit. I'm not an expert in construction or anything like that by any means, but it is fun to be able to make some changes and not be so worried about ruining something. Whereas when I'm working on the house, when I'm doing remodels on the house, I'm very conscious of, oh, if I mess something up, you know, it's going to be it can be very expensive very fast. If I mess something up out here, you know, it doesn't, unless I get injured, which I try to be careful and not get injured. But if I mess something up in the barn, it doesn't really matter that much. The value of the property won't change that much. So with that being said, let's go ahead and go upstairs. I'll show you what I'm working on with the floor right now. Maybe I'll do some work up there. Let me first get the lights plugged in. So a couple of extension cords. Who knew that these cords were so expensive? You know, a 100-foot extension cord can easily be over $100. You see these cords in construction sites and stuff like that, and you just never think, oh, it's like $100, $150. So this was a door that I got in Habitat for Humanity. And there was already a place for a window that was in here, but it was just boarded up. So it was just a hole with a board. But I got this door, a glass door at Habitat for Humanity. I think it was only like $50 or $30 or something. So really reasonable price for a glass door, double pane glass door. And then I just put that in as a window, and I was just going to have it closed originally, but then I thought, you know what, it's really nice when a breeze is coming through here. So I found some hinges on another door that was on the property, that was just a spare door that I'd saved from the garage. Here you can see the flooring. So before I started, I think there was only some flooring, I think up to like this point, like just this section here, and then it came out to right here, and all of this floor over here was rotted out, so I needed to remove that. I pretty much got it all out. As you can see, there's still a couple boards over there that I still need to remove, but just a lot of bad flooring. And these were the boards that were on the walls, so they were lining the walls. And I took those out, took the insulation out, and now I'm going to use these for flooring. And at some point I'd like to install insulation on the sides. Before I can worry about putting insulation, I want to make sure that that roof is sealed and not leaking anywhere. So I feel like there's a lot of people that would say like, oh, I wish I could afford to purchase a piece of property like that, or to have a giant studio like that. It's really being willing to make some compromises, because I would have loved to stay in Utah. I loved Utah. My family was there, my brothers were there. We were in Cache Valley, very beautiful area of Utah, kind of more northern Utah that's more green. But, it just became too expensive. We wanted to get our own home. So we were willing to move. We were willing to make the sacrifice to move across the country to get a starter home and, kind of a fixer-upper, an old home, 13 years old. It had some barns on the property, which I liked because I was looking for outbuildings to make a studio space. But this building was not pretty. I've already taken probably 1.5 trips to the dump with the yellow trailer that I have, and it's a pretty good sized trailer, and we filled that up and taken it to the dump. And over here you can see kind of how the flooring, kind of an example of how the flooring was. So just kind of rotted out, water damage over the years makes it unusable as flooring. So this all has to be torn out. And then I think that this floor is just going to go in this area. I think to about where that 2x4 is. So I have to add some additional supports here. Additional supports with the scrap wood from over there. Clear out all of this rotted stuff. And then, add those supports and continue the floor all the way over to that side. Let's see. Over here, I'm just going to take those out and leave that open, and that's where the stairs will be. Once I build some stairs. I don't know how big or cumbersome the stairs are going to be, so once I have the stairs in place, then I'll know if I want to continue that floor over. But I'd like to get as much space out of this second floor as possible. You can see that it's a really nice big space. These I want to raise up because I like to be able to have a table tennis table without these getting in the way. So what I'm going to do is, right now they're supporting the building. They're supporting every other beam with these two that are tied together, but I'd like to raise it up all the way to the top and add even more supports, but just closer to the top on each beam, so it'll still have that, give that structure to the building, but it'll just be raised up so that I have more head space, more vertical space up there. And then eventually, once I put in insulation and everything, wall things off, close the top. I don't know if I'll, if or when I'll get to that, but that's the plan, is to raise these up, have kind of a high ceiling. There's a saying that I think is relevant, and it's kind of a mindset that you don't see very much anymore. The saying is, use it up, wear it out, make it do, or do without. Use it up, wear it out, make it do, or do without. And that was kind of the mindset for most of humanity, for most of human history, is use it up, wear it out, make it do, or do without. Oh, you want something and you can't make it yourself? Well, you don't get it. You don't get that thing. You want a house, but you're not willing to actually go and, cut down the materials or gather the stones and build up that structure. You don't get a house. You're going to die from the elements. That was survival. That was human history. Now we live in such a privileged time where that's kind of unheard of. And we hear about things like housing. Oh, housing is a human right. Other things, healthcare is a human right. So what they're basically, that mindset is basically that you're owed, people to work for you. Somebody owes you a house. But that's just, it's just not reality. Nobody owes you a house. Nobody is obligated to provide you a house. Nobody's obligated to gather the materials and put a house together for you and then give you that house for free. It's something you have to work for. That is always true. You always had to work for things, anything that was worthwhile or worth having. So what I do like and appreciate about this experience of trying to, come have a fixer-upper house or fixing up the barn is just realizing, wow, there's a lot of things I don't know. There's a lot of things that I need to be more humble about. And it's work. It's hard work. It's slow. I don't know what I'm doing most of the time, trying to put floor in, and make sure that it's a floor that people won't just fall through, or trying to seal the roof and making sure that it's not some solution that'll make things worse. But at the same time, having very limited budget, not being able to spend hardly any money on the project. But what I do have is, I have some time, because I've invested the time over the last 8 years to develop online courses to teach people how to sculpt online. So that is somewhat passive income. I still have to create content and get the word out and advertise for the courses that I have. But because I've been putting so much content online for free on YouTube, then people kind of hear about it through there. And then I also work with a great company, Proco, that is working on, moving the company forward themselves and advertising themselves. And so I've been able to collaborate with different platforms and companies to be able to have the time and a little bit of financial freedom, not a crazy amount, but a little bit of time freedom to be able to work on these types of projects of renovating a barn into a studio. I don't know what it's going to look like. Hopefully it'll look a little bit better. It's already starting to look a little bit better. And something else I'd like to do, because this is a north-facing window, and so what that means is that the sun, a little bit, I think in the summer, there's just a slight sun ray that'll come towards the side, but for the most part, the sun never shines directly into this window. So any other wall on this building, if I was to put a window there, the sun would sometimes shine directly through, it's fine, but I like northern light. That's what the ancient masters preferred because it's more consistent. It doesn't change so much as the angle of the sun moves across the sky. Because the sun is over on that side of the building and the shadows are this way, that light stays pretty consistent. What I'd like to do is take out a lot more of these panels and put in more windows. And so for that, what I'm trying to do is just keep an eye out for people that are recycling windows. They got new windows in the home and they're getting rid of their old ones. Things like that I'm trying to keep an eye out for. But I'd like to basically turn this whole wall into windows up here, like above the door, put another window up there, put windows. So I just got to keep my eye out for good deals. And they come along, if your eyes are open, if you're looking on Facebook Marketplace for free stuff, especially if you live in an area that's a little bit higher populated, then you can probably find more deals more often just by keeping your eyes open. So once I get this laid out with those boards, then I want to take some either OBS board or plywood, depending on if I can find some deals on those, and then just lay those over top. And then once I have that done, the flooring should be really secure. One of the reasons that I wanted to make this video is because I see posts all the time that say something like, 10 years ago, if you wanted to be able to purchase a home, you had to be making, $40,000. Now it's $100,000 to be able to purchase a home. And while it's true that inflation has basically deflated the value of money, so basically inflation is just a tax on the value of your money. So the government prints money and then, shovels it out the door, and then there's more money, but there's the same amount of food, there's the same amount of houses, same amount of everything. So the cost of everything just goes up because there's just more money circulating. So it's just a tax. Inflation is just tax. The government's the only person that prints money, that creates inflation. So this extra tax of inflation, we've been feeling it more because the government, more than usual, has been printing money. And so it's true that then everything costs more, and then also there was a change in interest rates. But we purchased a home when all of that was, the interest rate had just gone up. Just to be honest, I don't make a lot of money. So when they say you need to be earning 60, 100,000, I don't make anywhere near that much. But we were able to get a home, and we were able to do it because we were willing to move to where the homes were more affordable. I think a lot of people are doing that nowadays, especially if you, like me, are able to work from home, then you have a lot more freedom to be able to do that. But even if you're not, but you're open to looking for jobs all over the country, then you probably could find a job and a home that's in your budget. Now, if you can't, maybe you don't have a lot of experience, or you're just out of school, or there's other things. But all of these excuses like, oh, you can't afford a home. Well, maybe you can't afford your dream home. Maybe you can't afford the best home, or maybe you can't afford a home where you're living now. but you probably could afford something somewhere if you're willing to make the sacrifices to like change that lifestyle and sacrifice something for something that you want more. But we were able to, get a home and a property. I credit a lot of that to the fact that I pay tithing. I pay, 10% plus a little extra to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and it's a biblical principle that God says, prove me now herewith, like bring your tithings, and I'll open the windows of heaven that there shall not be room enough to receive it. That's a scripture in the Bible, in the Old Testament. Through some, spiritual promptings, I felt very much that if not for the fact that we have been paying that we would not be able to be in the home that we're at right now. Some people don't believe that, and they think, oh, that's just silly. The home that we were able to purchase with the land, with the off buildings, with the budget that we had, and then I look at houses now in other areas, and they're twice as much for half the house, or for half the, they're half as good and twice as much. And so I'm really grateful for that, and I do attribute that to God, to Heavenly Father, that He's made it possible. So I'd say that can't be overstated. But then also just the willingness to make a sacrifice and to move. And that's what, life is full of sacrifices. And if you're an artist, I don't believe that being poor needs to be part of being an artist. But it is, it's a stereotype. And for a lot of my career, that has been an accurate stereotype of our financial situation. But I don't believe that that's the end of the story. Like, I believe that the things that I've been working on, it's a lot of upfront investment with very little return. But then once things take off, once you figure things out, then the return can be exponential, especially with things like online courses or other things where it's a lot of work up front, very little return. But then, there's no limit to how many people could possibly get interested in sculpting and then purchase the course. So there's an understandable downside. The downside is making less than I was hoping for the time investment that I put into it. But the upside is unlimited. There's no limit to how many people can purchase the course. Now, not everybody's interested in sculpting. It's very niche, even among artists. Most people are interested in drawing, painting, or other things. So I understand, like, it's a niche thing. But, if you can find a community and market, there are people out there around the world that would like to learn sculpting. And whatever your niche is in art, there's a way to make it profitable. And poverty is just relative. Like, compared to the 99% of people that have ever lived on this earth, I'm incredibly wealthy. Never gone hungry, never been homeless, have a refrigerator, have hot water. Like, these are things that are unheard of in human history. So if we go an average of everybody that's ever lived on the earth, I'm in the top 1% of wealthy people. Now in the US, I'd be maybe certainly at some times throughout my career below the poverty line. And that's another thing that bugs me when I see it, is when people say, oh, I can't afford to have kids. It's like, people so much poorer than you are have had kids. Like, people have been having kids when they had like a tiny, tiny fraction of a fraction of a fraction of the wealth that just the average day person has. And then we're all of a sudden like, oh, I can't afford it. It's that you don't prioritize it. Maybe, oh, I can't afford it and have all of these other financial benefits, or have the nice car, or the nice, the nice house, or whatever it is that you prioritize over having kids. It's like we live in such a blessed time. I'm so fortunate. I have so much in my life that I didn't earn. I didn't earn the internet. I didn't earn the house that we live in, really. Even though I've signed up for a mortgage and everything, I didn't build it. I couldn't build it. I don't have the knowledge or the time to build it. The car that we drive, I didn't invent it. I didn't create it. The inventions that we have, we're just so ungrateful. It's too bad, because there's so much to be grateful for. So much to be grateful for. Okay, I'm kind of ranting, I guess. Before I forget, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. All right, well, I made some progress. It's getting late. There's still a lot to do And so I guess the moral of this video is just don't be afraid to work at something that you'd like to have. Try to improve whatever you do have. As you do that, as you put energy and value into whatever you do have, then you increase the value of it. And so as I'm fixing up this barn into a studio, it'll be more valuable than it was before. I'll be able to hopefully share that value with other people through whatever happens with it, whether I sell it, and the new owner gets to benefit from the value and the work and the labor that I put into this, or if there's art workshops where people can come and there's a space where they can learn, sculpt along with others. I think that would be something that would be really great. As I'm working on things, I just wanted to share some progress. Just encourage you guys to stay productive. That's one of the things that I think is really important for all artists. That's why my catchphrase is stay productive, stay creative, because I think those two things do go hand in hand. And if you can do both of those, then you'll be able to create a lot of value for other people, and you'll be rewarded for that value eventually, even if it is a lot of work in the meantime. Okay, as always, stay creative, stay productive. I'll see you hopefully in the next video. I try to go over all types of topics and issues, anything that interests me, but especially things related to art and sculpture.